Can you see my tartars through this top? I can't tell. Can you see them? Can you see my nipples? You know what? If you can, like, it'll be fine. Hi everyone, welcome back to Almost Normal. I very recently have decided that I'm going to get my shit together. I'm going to start getting my shit together because I am now 27 years old. I have been 27 years old for months now. So this is not like my birthday was yesterday and now I'm like, time to go. Okay, time to change some shit around. No. I have been 27 since January and it is now June. So this is not like a new revelation. Like I've known that things have needed to change for a while. It's starting now. I think I have that like spring cleaning energy inside of me at the moment, which is very helpful. Even though the weather in Los Angeles has been absolutely grim. I don't know what's going on. It's been grey and raining every single day. And my brother's in town and it's literally like, I think he wants to go back to London because London has better weather than Los Angeles does at the moment, which is just not an equation that makes any fucking sense. But anyway, I do have that, you know, the spirit of spring cleaning is upon me. I've really been trying to get things in order. I was talking to a friend the other day and we were talking about these versions of ourselves that we have just accepted as ourselves and unchanging, okay? And if there are small flaws and issues that kind of bother us, we just say, well, that's just who I am, you know? There's not going to be any changing that. Me, personally, I am a very type B personality, okay? Credit card, never know where it is. ID, I ordered a new ID, never used it, didn't even take it off the paper, and I've already lost it, which is just embarrassing, and I don't really want to tell you guys that, but that is the truth. Never have a full tank of gas, never have my phone charged. Did I already say that? See, I don't even know what the hell's going on right now. Literally, like, I am not organized at all. Who is at the door? Someone is at the front gate. See, I didn't even know who's at the front gate. I literally don't know ever what's going on, okay? I forget appointments all the time. I'm just not an organized person, okay? I'm just not an organized person. For anyone who's new, let me just fill you in a little bit on, like, who I am. And like what kind of things I get myself into when it comes to my type B personality. So for example, I moved to Los Angeles about 5 years ago. I'm from London and I moved to Los Angeles. There's a few things that one would do, most people would do probably, before they even got on the plane to the country they were moving to, okay? Not me though. Not me. No. Not me. I inconvenienced myself so much with these little things that I just couldn't get myself to sort out, and I don't know why, because it's not laziness. There's some sort of like demon inside of me that just like doesn't want me to do certain things, and I can't explain what it is. It's not laziness because I'm like very capable of doing a bunch of other stuff, you know, but it's these like sort of core things that have to be done that I just can't face. I don't know why, but anyway, I'll give you a couple examples. First example would be, when you move to a different country, it's probably a good idea to get a bank account in the country that you're living, okay? For a multitude of reasons, but one big reason is that if you have a problem with your bank, you know, if there's a problem with the money or something like that, then it's really, really important that you're able to get in touch with the bank, you know, ASAP. If there's a fraudulent payment on your card, like it's pretty important that you're able to get in contact with someone in the office and be like, hi, this has happened, like, please help me, otherwise I'm gonna lose all my money. You know what I mean? For me, however, I decided to wait probably about a year after moving to actually get a Chase bank account connected to the country I was living in, which is absolutely insane. This was not something that it was like, oh, you should do that, but it doesn't really bother me that much, so I don't notice, like, I don't get fraudulent charges a lot on my card, so like, doesn't really matter. It really got in the way of like every single day of my life, because obviously if my bank is in London and it keeps seeing charges happening in the US, it's going to be like, oh, are those fraudulent charges? And what do they do typically when there's a fraudulent charge is they block your card, okay? And when I first moved here 5 years ago, they really didn't have a lot of good online banking, you know, technology. It was very much like if something happened to your card, if you lost it, if it broke, or if it was blocked, you have to call someone and get in touch. You have to call a human being and be like, hi, this is me. My name is Rita. Like, please, can you unblock my card? I need to buy this food. So what would happen is I would wake up in the morning, and I would go and pick up my iced latte, my $5, perhaps $8 iced latte in the morning. And this is like a very, very small purchase, this is nothing major. But what would happen most mornings is I would go to the coffee shop and I would, proceed to try and pay. And every single fucking time, my card would get blocked. I think 50% of the time I tried to buy even the smallest of purchases, they would block my card because they would be like, why the hell is this person like using this card in America so much? This doesn't make any sense. Blocked, okay? So then you're like, all right, I should call someone in London and be like, unblock my card, please. For the next week, please don't block my card again. However, what we didn't think about is the fact that there is an 8-hour time difference from London to LA. And like being the kind of girl I am, I'm usually drinking my first coffee of the day at like 12 p.m. Okay? That is 8 p.m. in London. So the chances of me getting in touch with anyone to say, please unblock my card is very low. I'm probably gonna have to wait till the next day in order to get in touch with anyone to sort my shit out. So then I'm left moneyless, coffeeless all day. There's nothing I can do. And I have to remember to wake up, and first thing I do in the morning is to call the bank and say, please unblock my card. And as a type B personality, those things are not remembered very easily. Do I know I should? Yes. Why don't I do it? I don't know. Okay? So that was my life for a while, and it was fucking horrible. It was just like, do you know what it was? It was just like, sort this out. Every time it happened to me, I would be like, fuck's sake, like, sort this out, Rita, sort this out. And then it wouldn't be a problem for like a couple days. And so I would sort of just be like, whatever. And then it would be a problem again. And I'm very much like, if the problem isn't right in front of me, like, I'm just not going to be dealing with it. Like, I'm just going to sort of let it pass me by. And I think that is my issue with a lot of stuff, is like, a lot of my problems are very abstract, like the bank, or the phone or whatever it is. And it's just like, they're not right in front of me. Unless I'm trying to pay for something and my card doesn't work, the problem is not right in front of me. And so I'm probably not going to sort it out. And I think that's my big problem. It's because like it would break and I'd be like, oh shit, I gotta fix this. But then like I'd sort of live without it, and then I'd be like, oh fuck it, and then I just wouldn't do it, and then it would break again. And do you know what I mean? So I just like never got around to it. Very stupid. Very, very stupid. And the second thing, which arguably is more stupid, I would say, because it just cost me a lot of money, is that when I moved to America, I, for some reason, refused. It's not even a refusal, I can't quite explain what it is, but it's like, for some reason, I was like, I can't be bothered to get an American phone. Maybe I have commitment issues. I think I have slight commitment issues when it comes to living in places. And so maybe in my head, I was like, what if I don't live here for that long? But you see, like, I know people who go on vacation and like get a new phone for the vacation, which I think is totally mad. Like a week vacation, you get a new phone, like that seems like too much. I don't think that's a normal thing to do. But like, even if you're planning to live somewhere for a month or two, like you should get a new phone. You should get a new bank. Okay, just stay safe. Just be safe about stuff like that. I obviously, in my head, was like, I don't know if I'm going to live here for that long, so like, what is the point in getting a new phone? So I decided again, I think this was about a year and a half. For like a year and a half, I had a British phone. And that may not seem so crazy initially. However, let me explain one thing to you. Let's say I'm sitting in my house in Los Angeles, okay? And I decide to call my friend who lives 2 doors down. You'd think the phone call would just go from my apartment to her apartment. Deet, deet, like 2 feet over. Wouldn't cost anything. Easy. But no. If I have a British contract with a British phone company, this is what happens. I call my friend from my apartment in LA. The phone call has to be transferred all the way back to London. And then it has to get transferred all the way back to my friend's apartment, who is 2 doors down from me, but my phone call traveled thousands and thousands of miles, okay? And that, as you can imagine, cost quite a lot of money. So my phone bill at the end of the month was fucking, like, rageful. Like, no. And every time I got it, I wanted to cry, But the problem is I only got it once a month. And so I would see that thing, pay it, be like, holy fuck, like, Rita, that is so irresponsible. And you're spending so much fucking money that you don't have to make like irrelevant phone calls, to make like a phone call to the pizza shop to order a pizza. Like, you shouldn't be spending $60 on that. Like, that costs more than the fucking pizza. But the problem with me, again, is like, if the problem's not right in front of me, like, I'm gonna just like not deal with it. So I would pay it and be like, fuck's sake, I gotta deal with this. And then I wouldn't have to sort of face it for another month. And so I would just sort of let it pass me by, and that kind of happened every single month. Another problem with the British phone is that I had a British phone number, and obviously I'm in America, so I'm meeting a lot of American people with American phone numbers, and so they're like, what's your phone number? And I'm like, oh, it's this, but it's British, and so, you know, you can only WhatsApp me or like iMessage me, so anyone with a BlackBerry like just could not be my friend. You know, it was just silly and didn't make any sense and really got in the way of my life quite a lot. And like, I couldn't even phone a lot of people. There were people that just like, the phone call wouldn't go through. It was just like super inconvenient. If I ever had to make a phone call to someone in LA, I would like wait to see my friend and then use their phone. It was just totally insane. So anyway, just, you know, to give a little like brief, I don't want to say that's who I am, but just to give you a brief idea on the type of person I am able to be. That I would say that sums it up pretty nicely. And the only reason I got an American phone in the end was because my husband made me get one, because he was like, what is going on? This is absolutely insane. Like, just, this can't happen anymore. But anyway, that is kind of the person I've accepted myself as, and I haven't really made any moves to make any changes. And I feel like you don't have to accept the first version of yourself that you think you are. Like, I have made so many big changes in my life. Like, I'm not at all anyone close to the person I was when I was 19. But somehow there's like certain things that I like can't seem to really let go of, you know, as like character traits. But I genuinely don't think they're character traits. I think they're just like me not wanting to face reality, to be honest. I've been getting shit done. The first thing I got done, and you may shudder in disgustion. You may shudder in disgust. What the fuck is disgustion? You may shudder in disgust at this, and I did so myself, actually, when I really, really thought about it. But I have been living in LA for 5 years, and I don't have a doctor, okay? I do not have a GP. You know, in my head, that's really something, like, your mum should deal with, you know? Like, I'm not gonna call a doctor. Like, who am I to go on the internet, look for a doctor, and then go? Like, that is just adult shit. Like, I don't think I can do that. That is crazy. Like, me and my judgment are gonna pick a doctor, someone who's gonna like prod me with needles and like post stuff at me. Like, I'm meant to judge that? I'm meant to say if they're good or not? Like, no. Just no. So yeah, that sort of kept me from the doctor's office for a little longer than one should be away from a doctor, I would imagine. So like, what I would do is, if I needed, you know, special tests and exams and things like that, or if anything felt wrong, or I felt like I desperately needed to see a medical professional, usually what I would do is I would just go to London and do it there. And when I say go to London, I don't mean I specifically took a trip to London in order to see the doctor. I mean, I would just wait until the next time I went to London to go see my family, and then I would book a doctor's appointment when I got there. That was sort of my plan. Every time I needed to see a medical professional, I would just wait until I got, you know, to London, where my mom lives, you know, coincidentally. Which is just not a good system at all. Just a terrible system. Adds a lot of anxiety. You know, people should just have someone they can call whenever. It's not smart to do what I was doing. And so very recently, and when I say very recently, I mean like 3 weeks ago, I did get my mother-in-law to sit down with me and help me actually get a doctor, because I was like, I need to get my shit together, okay? I feel like nearing 30 is when you start becoming an adult. I don't know 100% sure, but like, I feel like I'm 27. I feel like maybe I should get a doctor's appointment. The other thing about having a doctor in England, and this was a hugely annoying, frustrating, anxiety-inducing thing, was that I have a bunch of prescriptions, okay? I have a bunch of prescriptions that keep me sane, stop me from making babies if I don't want one, all that kind of jazz, you know? And so if my doctor is in London, Obviously, he can't give me a prescription in America because that's not legal. That's just not how it works. His prescription paper only works in the UK, not in America. So this was my system for that. My system for that is that I would have the doctor send the prescription to my mum. My mum would then go out to the pharmacy and pick up the prescription. She would then try and ship the prescriptions over to me overseas, which sometimes worked. However, you're not actually meant to ship medication across seas. And so more often than not, it would get stopped at customs and then they would put it in the incinerator and I would not get my medication. And that was incredibly anxiety inducing, as you can imagine. And like, what is that fucking system? Like, I literally don't even understand what that is, okay? I think that I make things so much bigger in my brain. Like, getting a doctor seems like such a big, momentous, crazy thing to do, but it's like, not at all. You know what I mean? It's just like, it really isn't a big deal, and it was not a big deal at all. Like, once I finally got it figured out, I was like, I'm embarrassed by how easy that was. You know what I mean? I'm embarrassed by how easy that was. And it's so nice. Like, what a luxury to be able to just drive down to the pharmacy next to my house and pick up medication. Like, that just seems like something that should have been a reality of mine forever. And it wasn't, because I just make my life really, really difficult. Anyway, that was a huge, huge thing, okay? I know it sounds small, but for me, that was a massive thing that I had to get done. It was urgent, okay? And so I am so proud of myself for getting that done. Like, that actually feels like weight has been lifted. And I'm so happy about it. Okay, the second thing was, and if you've been with me for a while, you're going to be proud of this. I got a therapist. Yeah. I know. The therapy is the most confusing one for me because again, if you haven't been with me for a while, you may not know this, so I'm just going to say it again, but the people that have been around for a while are probably like, Rita, shut the fuck up. So this is just for the new people. I am sober, okay? I am an addict, and I decided to stop doing all the stuff I was addicted to. And so, you know, most addicts I know have some underlying issues, let's just say, that they are dealing with. And typically, the drugs and the alcohol were used as self-medication, which was definitely true in my case. I was definitely suppressing some emotions and some feelings with the drugs and the alcohol. And so you would think that once I gave away that medication, in air quotes, I would probably want to seek, you know, professional help pretty soon after, because I'm like raw dog in life at that point. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, don't have anything to numb these feelings. Don't know what these feelings are. I'm very scared. So you would think, you know, a regular-minded person would say, I should probably, first thing is I should probably go see a therapist. I have been sober now for 4.5 years, give or take. My first therapy appointment was last week. Why that is, I have a few guesses. Again, I'm just a type B personality. I just let things slide by, you know. Every sort of, every sort of meltdown I had, I was like, I'm getting a therapist, like, I need therapy. And then the meltdown would sort of fade and I would just forget about it and just like wait for the next meltdown to happen. And then it, you know, just snowballed like that over and over again. It was the same shit, like meltdown. I can't get the therapist during the meltdown because I'm like too meltdown-y-ish. And then, so then I wait for the meltdown to finish, and I'm like, once the meltdown finishes, I'm going to get a therapist. But then once the meltdown has finished, then I'm like forgetting how I felt. So I'm like, sorry, my camera died. But yeah, then I'm like, do I really need a therapist? Like, I'm fine now. I feel great. Yeah, but actually, anyway, I got the doctor, you know, going back a second, I got a doctor's appointment, a physical doctor's appointment. And I have OCD and, you know, a lot of anxiety around medical stuff, let's just say. And so I got the doctor's appointment, and then that set off a chain reaction of quite bad OCD and anxiety. And so my meltdown lasted a little longer than usual, perhaps a couple months. I was pretty down in the doo-doo. Yeah, it was a pretty bad time. And so that meltdown lasted long enough for me to be like, perhaps we should do something about this. Of course, I also had, you know, people help me get appointments because I'm, you know, incapable of doing anything on my own, obviously. But yeah, you know, and so then I was like, fuck it. I think we should probably get a therapist because I'm already on medication. clearly something else is going on, something else that should be discussed with a professional. So with the help of others, I then also got a therapist, which has been great. And I've had like 3 sessions with her, and she's lovely. She's on Zoom, which kind of sucks, but there were like no providers working in person, which I thought was quite odd. But anyway, honestly kind of like it on Zoom, do it from bed, feels great. But that was something that I should have done long ago. I should have done long ago. My friend was like, do you have a therapist? And when I said no, she literally looked at me like I was insane. Especially as someone with quite severe OCD, it's like, why don't you have a therapist? Because OCD is very much like a thinking problem. It's like thinking, like, what if this happens? What if that happens? And like, it's really important to sort of vocalize those things. And sometimes it's not actually embarrassing, but sometimes it can feel a little bit embarrassing to like tell your friends and family, like, oh yeah, I am freaking out because I think this is going to happen in this. And it's just like some sort of fantasy madness, so it's kind of nice to have someone who's completely like unbiased in their opinions of me. Don't know anything about me, don't know where I live. Well, actually, she probably does know where I live. No, I'm just never going to see her. And she also said something so nice to me the other day where she was like, I was getting a little bit embarrassed by something I had told her. And she was like, don't be embarrassed. She was like, you don't know the weird shit I do, It's just that this is your therapist appointment. We're not talking about the things I do, but you have no idea what I do. I had a therapy appointment and now I've had 3. So it's been going well. It's been going well. And I'm not sure why I didn't do this sooner. It's just the type of person I am. But I want to let go of that, I don't think I'm going to be able to let go of it 100%, but I want to let go of it in some way, like a little bit. Like, I don't want to be like, I'm not going to do that just because of who I am. Like, oh, I wouldn't rely on me to do that just because of who I am. Or like, letting myself have to deal with extra obstacles in life or not being able to make phone calls. Like, I'm not going to do that anymore just because I've somehow accepted that this is who I am. Because I really don't think that I have to be this kind of person if I really don't want to be. And I was actually talking to my therapist about that. And she was like, yeah, like, we absolutely do not need to accept like who we think we are. We are ever evolving. And if there's things about yourself that you really, don't enjoy, then you can absolutely do stuff to change it. And I honestly found that shocking. I was like, oh, really? Like, I don't have to be this type of person? She's like, no, not at all. Like, if these things are really getting in the way of your happiness, like, you can change them. And if changing how you react to the world will help you change these things, then we can do that. Which is just so nice to hear because, I like being quirky. I like being weird, but I think I have like a lot of that in me anyway. I don't think I need these things that like actually get in the way of my life anymore. And I don't feel like I want to just accept that I'm super disorganized. I'm super disorganized. I forget everything. Like, I don't want to be that person anymore. It's kind of annoying. I want to be someone like people can like 100% rely on. I want to be that girl. When someone says, do you have some hand sanitizer? I'm like, hell yeah, I have hand sanitizer. If someone's like, do you have an aspirin? I'll be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I have an aspirin. I got you covered. I have shit together. I have my shit together. I want to be that person. I crave to be that type of person. At least a little bit. Like, it is the most satisfying thing when my husband's like, oh, did you file that thing, or did you send that thing, or did you reply to that thing? And I'm like, oh yeah, I did it. It is honestly the most satisfying thing in the world. I can't explain to you how satisfying that is. And so if I could have those moments more than I have now, that would be wonderful. So I'm on a journey of trying to switch things up a little bit so I'm no longer the girl I thought I was, And maybe I used to be that girl, but that doesn't mean like I have to be her anymore. We are ever changing, ever evolving. And yeah, that's what's been going on in my life recently. And I'm feeling pretty good about it. My last discussion with my therapist, we went a little deeper into this and she gave me a bit of homework. And so the first bit of the homework was we want to wake up every day at the same time. Because I have an issue with waking up. If I don't have something to do that day, I'll just sleep in, for hours and hours. And then when I wake up, I'm super anxious and kind of depressed because the day is getting away from me and I haven't done anything and I'm still in bed at like 11 a.m. and it's just like, what, like, why? Like, why? Like, I should be using this day a little bit more than I am. And so that was something that she said that will really start to help. Okay. If you start waking up every day and really push yourself to wake up every day at the same time, which I chose 8 a.m., which is honestly not that early. But like for me, it's like a big deal. She was like, wake up every day at 8 a.m. Even if you have absolutely nothing to do, wake up at 8 a.m. every single day and get out of bed, okay? And this morning was the first day that I was doing this new homework, because yesterday is when we discussed all of this. But today I woke up at 8 a.m. and I got myself out of bed. And okay, I will admit, I did get up and out of bed. I did go to the kitchen. I did then proceed to spend about an hour on social media, but that was not part of the homework, okay? One thing at a time. The point is I got up and out of bed at 8 a.m., and I didn't have shit to do today. Nothing to do. The second point of homework was to give myself more of a routine in my life. Okay, I'm very much one of those people who are like, if I don't have school, if I don't have work, if I don't have deadlines, then I don't really have a routine. And that is purely because I have very little boundaries with myself, because I'm just like, oh, if I don't need to do it, like I'm not going to do it. As we have heard earlier in this podcast episode, if it's not right in front of my eyes, I'm just not going to do it. And so that has been me, for a while. If I don't have school, if I don't have work, if I don't have anything to do, I'll just sleep in, I'll not really do anything, I'll sort of start to lose my mind, get very anxious, my OCD will start to spike up because I'm just sort of like flailing around, trying to live a life. And I'm like, well, how am I meant to have a schedule if I don't have shit to be at and I don't have shit to do? And she's like, well, you have to just set boundaries for yourself and act like you have a schedule, even just in your day-to-day life, okay? And so that looked like waking up every day at 8 a.m. for starters, and then 2, doing an exercise routine and fucking sticking to it, just as something to do, just as a catalyst for the days, so I can say that I have a bit of a routine. And so I said, okay, 3 days a week at 11 a.m., I'm going to go to my favorite class. And she said, okay, yeah, but it has to be every day, not every day, but every day you do it has to be the exact same time each week, okay? It needs to be a set schedule. It can't just be like, oh, whenever I have a free hour, I'm going to do an exercise class. No, it has to be like you pre-plan all of them and treat them like school, okay? Treat them literally like class. So I did that. I had a class at 11 a.m. and I went today. And honestly, I'm starting to feel a little bit more like collected, a little bit more like a human being. And obviously it's only been one day, so my brain isn't really like understanding that this is a schedule that we're going to stick to because it's only been one day. But I'm like confident that I can do it. It's exciting. It's exciting because I just have spent such a long time thinking that I am unable to do things like this. And so I'm really excited to have like an actual little bit of a routine. Summer always scares me because I'm like, what the fuck am I meant to do with myself? Like, I'm not good with no routine, no school schedule, nothing like that. Like, I'm not good at that. So this is really interesting for me to see if I can just genuinely set a schedule for myself. It's so interesting that we can only, or I can at least, it's really interesting that I only seem to be able to stick to a schedule when I'm beholden to someone else. When it's classes, I'm beholden to the teacher, or like homework, I'm beholden to the teacher. Like, it's interesting that I can't set boundaries and schedules just for myself, just to, turn up for myself. I'm only good at setting boundaries and like being on a schedule when I have to impress someone else. And it shouldn't be that way. I should be an authoritative figure in my own life where I'm like, you should do this to make yourself happy. You shouldn't just stick to a schedule just because like you're trying to make someone else happy. And that was very much my problem, because I was like, who the hell am I trying to impress? You're trying to impress yourself. Okay? You're trying to impress yourself. Like, that is just a big thing that I didn't ever think about. Never. Really never. I'm just like, who cares if I sleep in all day? Doesn't matter. Like, I'm not missing anyone. No one is like waiting on me. But I'm waiting on myself. I think that's like a big thing that I have to remember. That like, you are an authoritative figure. You are the most authoritative figure over your own life. And so why aren't we trying to like impress ourselves and be like, hey, we got up every day this week at 8 a.m. and we like stuck to the class schedule, the whatever class it may be. But for me, it's Pilates class. It's just like my obsession at the moment. But yeah, I got to put myself more on a pedestal. I don't want to just improve my life for others. It should be like genuinely for myself. So yeah, that is what I've been trying to work on. That's just my story of the week. It's going really well. I'm pretty impressed with myself for this one day. But it's like the small wins. We gotta focus on the small wins, because life is full of small wins and like kind of few big wins, to be honest. It's so cold in here. Okay, anyway, I love you guys so much. You are my best friends. Seriously. I think that's all I had to say. I've just been trying to, figure some shit out. Trying to not be so concrete in like who I think I am, because at the end of the day, I'm a 27-year-old. Like, things will be changing. The idea that I'm going to be the same person now that I will be when I'm 40 is like very unlikely. So it doesn't make sense that I'm like, I know who I am, I'm set in my ways, I'm not changing shit. Like, I don't think that's the way to live. And it definitely isn't the way to live, because I'm like, all of my stress is like self-induced at the moment. And so it's like, what do we have to do to get rid of that stress? It's just like literally change like one or two things about myself. And yes, it'll take a little bit of work, but no pain, no gain, baby. Right? So anyway, all I have for today. But I love you guys so much. And I will see you next time. And if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you do. It's super helpful to me. And you can see anytime I post anything. And yeah. Also, let me know if you guys have any podcast suggestions, if there's anything specifically you want me to talk about, and I will do my best to try and discuss them. All right. I love you guys. Bye.